today we are talking about Mary-Kate and Ashley. Nope, not the twins from Full House. My titties. I'm 48 and I've had my titties done 4 times. Every time I went back, I did it for one reason, because I wanted to. On paper, I did everything right and my body still went rogue twice. It took me 3 surgeries and $30,000 to do the thing that my doctor had suggested that we do in the very beginning. But first, the most important thing that I'm going to say to you in this whole episode. So, I'm 48 and I've had my titties done 4 times. That's right, 4 boob jobs, and I would do it all over again. In today's episode, I'm giving you the whole story in 10 chapters. Why I did it, the complication that I got hit with twice, even on the safest setup, the $30,000 mistake, yes really, where I land on breast implant illness, and where I finally ended up once it was all said and done. So if you have implants, you've ever thought about getting them, or you've got a set right now and you're wondering whether or not you should take them out, this one's for you. Hi friend, I'm Cynthia Garcia, and this is I'd like to thank myself. Now, quick disclaimer, I cuss a lot. That's just how I talk. Now, if that's not for you, this is your stop. But if you stay, don't come at me in the comments because I just fucking warned you. Don't ask me if I can say things different or stop the cussing because it's not going to happen. Now, that being said, if you are staying, grab a drink because we have got some shit to talk about. Okay, so today we are talking about Mary-Kate and Ashley. Nope, not the twins from Full House. My titties. This is Mary-Kate and this is Ashley. And over 27 years, these two have caused more drama than the Olsen twins ever did. So let's get into it. Chapter 1 is why I did this in the first place. Well, let me explain it to you. See, growing up, I was a card-carrying member of the itty bitty titty committee, except I wasn't very proud of it. My family teased me about it constantly, and I did what any teenager with no self-esteem did. I stuffed my bra and tried to push these little fuckers up. I was embarrassed. I was ashamed at times, and I wanted that curvy figure so bad I could taste it. So the second I was grown up and could do something about it, I did something about it. About 30 years ago, my first set were saline implants, and I kept those girls a solid 20 years, which means they held up better than any of my relationships from that same era. Then I had my daughter, Rain, and I breastfed that kid for 2.5 years. This child took that shit serious as a motherfucker. See, babies have no concept of turning their head or rolling over when your nipple is still in their mouth. So she would just travel. She treated my nipples like they were carry-ons that she refused to check for 2.5 years. So between her, I love her, and gravity, my poor titties looked like they had been holding up the weight of the world for 38 years and finally went, you know what? Fuck it, we're done. So I decided once again to do something about it. Now here's the thing. Every time I went back, I did it for one reason, because I wanted to. I didn't do it for a man or for anybody else. I did it for me. So let's get into the receipts in the next 9 chapters. But one thing really quick. I gotta be clear here because people like to say all kinds of shit on the interwebs. So I am not here to tell you to do a motherfucking thing. I'm telling you what I did in case it helps. You want to change something? Go for it. You don't? That's perfect. The choice, as always, is yours. Okay, now that we got that out of the way, let's get into chapter 2, the complication they really undersell. And it's called capsular contracture. Now buckle up because that 30 grand lesson I told you about earlier, the one I learned the hard way, it's built right on top of this one. So capsular contracture. Now if you're like, what the fuck is that, Cynthia? Well, here's what it is in plain English. So when you get implants, your body wraps that implant in scar tissue. Now, nobody panic. It's totally normal. We all do this. It's what your body does. But sometimes that scar tissue gets a little clingy, like a situationship that can't take a hint. It locks in hard and drags everything sideways. And then you're right back on the operating table. So let me walk you through how my body handled this. So the second time I got implants after Rain walked around the block attached to my nipple, I tried to be mature about it. I thought, Cynthia, you're not 20 years old anymore. Calm the fuck down. Let's just go a little bit smaller, a little more natural. And I got a lift at the same time, right? Because after 2.5 years, nursing gravity and those walks around the block had won. So I went in, I did it, got a little bit smaller, a little more natural, had a little more of a slope to them. I did not love them. I didn't. I liked them. I didn't love them. So when Mary Kate tightened up a few weeks later and went rock hard and got a little lopsided, they had that misshapen thing going on. Honestly, I wasn't even that sad that I had to go back in. That was capsular contracture. So back to the doctor I go. And this time I said, you know what? Forget natural. Take me back to my real size where I know I'm happy. So he did. Great surgeon. I'll talk about that in just a little bit. That said, y'all, I had some good titties. I'm just going to own it. I paid a lot of money. I got what I asked for. I love them. And I came home, I massaged Mary Kate and Ashley like I was on a second date trying to get lucky. I did all the things to keep that capsular contracture thing from happening again. And a couple of months later, my body tried to strangle Mary Kate again. Same story. The tightening, the rock hardness, the misshapedness. No matter how much I massaged, tweaked, or twerked that titty, nothing worked. And here's the part I actually need you to hear underneath the jokes, okay? My setup, which were round, smooth, and under the muscle, is one of the lowest risk setups that there is for this. On paper, I did everything right, and my body still went rogue twice. So if it happens to you, it's not something that you did wrong. Some bodies are just precious and they do this. Because again, when you put shit into your body that's not supposed to be there, they don't always love it. You get it. So that brings us to chapter 3, the one that cost me 30 grand. Now, if you forget everything else, you should probably remember this one. And still coming up, I'm going to tell you about the 5 surgeons I went to, the one who made a decision on my behalf while I was completely unconscious, and the truth about recovery. Okay, but first, chapter 3. There is a thing called acellular dermal matrix. And again, you're probably like, what the fuck is that, Cynthia? Like, this is a whole science lesson today. And that's a very fair question. Maybe you've heard of it as stratus. No, still not. Okay, still doesn't work. Well, I'll tell you what it is. It's made out of pig. Yeah. I know. At this point, you're like, this bitch is crazy, and I don't blame you. So let me just explain, okay? Specifically, it's made out of pig skin. I know. You're having the same reaction I had when my doctor told me about it. But here's the deal. They take the pig skin, they strip out every last little piggy cell, and you're left with a clean collagen scaffolding underneath. No live piggy, no fetus, nothing out of a horror movie, just the structural part of pig skin that your body can, adapt to. Now, for implants, because you're like, why the fuck are we talking about piggies? So for implants, it's basically a little hammock it's a little titty hammock, okay? That's what it is. It wraps around the implant and it gives your body something nice and friendly that it likes to hold on to instead of treating the implant like an intruder that it has to strangle or die trying. The bottom line is this. It cuts the odds of capsular contracture way, way down. You got it? Okay, you get it. Now, when I was heading into my 3rd surgery for the redo, my surgeon, bless his heart, he offered it to me. And I, armed with a nutrition degree and vibes, told the board-certified plastic surgeon that I'd be fine. Great instinct, Cynthia. Love that for me. And you know what happened? Same shit. Same shit happened again. So on the next surgery, I finally went, you know what? Fool me twice. Fine. Give me the piggy. And it worked. Everything held. No more capsular contracture. We were done. So yes, it took me 3 surgeries and $30,000 to do the thing that my doctor had suggested that we do in the very beginning because I'm so smart and you should listen to everything I say. And yes, I really do have a little piggy in my left titty. I named her Elizabeth so she'd match her sisters. And at this point, I'm roughly, 16% Build-A-Bear and thriving. Thank you for asking. All right, if you like this conversation, this is exactly the kind of stuff that's inside the Vanity Club. The procedures and the treatments, week-by-week recovery that I'd hand you if we were friends, and what I'd tell you if you called me freaking out before your consult. Plus, a whole room of women comparing who they used, what they paid, and what they would do differently. So if you'd like to join us, the link is in the description. So chapter 4 is to get more than one consult. So when I decided to get them done after rains, we already talked about that, I talked to 5 different surgeons, 5. And every single one of them I had to pay to have a consult with, but it was worth it and it matters. Here's why. So when I decided that, again, I wanted to get them done, I knew I needed a lift along with new implants. So I went to one very fancy Beverly Hills surgeon who was actually known for breast augmentation. And he said, you're going to need 2 separate surgeries spaced out for months apart. I didn't have that kind of time. I didn't want to do that. So I went to another excellent surgeon who looked at the same exact body, mine, and said, actually, we can do this all in one. I ended up going with that guy. Both of them were great options, but I just didn't want a 2-step program. I didn't have time for that. I just wanted to hit it and quit it. You get it? You get it. The 2-step guy, it was right for a lot of people, just not for me. And that's why talking to a lot of people and knowing what your needs are is so important. You can get what you want. Now, as for the others, well, one talked more about his resume and his TV appearances than he did my titties. One made it very clear that he didn't have a lot of time because he had places to be. Sir. Okay, whatever. One seemed perfectly okay. Fine. He was fine. But he wasn't he wasn't a standout. So I just kept looking. If it were me, and this is something I was going to do if I were you, I would book consults with more than one doctor. And I would ask each of them why they do it the way they do it. What is their technique? Because it's not a one size fits all. You want to feel the situation out. You want to make sure that, you do get good vibes and have a good feeling about your doctor. And you want someone who's going to take their time and answer all of your questions without rushing you out the door. Now, let me give you an example of why trusting your doctor is so, so important. So my last surgery, the 4th and final one, he was only supposed to work on the left one, Mary Kay, right? Because she was the only one giving me trouble at that point. So I wake up after the surgery, still queasy from the anesthesia, and notice, both of my boobs kind of feel a little funny. But honestly, I was so out of it that I didn't even care. I was high as a kite, having a deep personal conversation with the ceiling. So then my doctor comes in and he goes, I went ahead and did a small lift on the right side too, Ashley, to keep you even. Because, lifting up Mary Kate, she's going to stay put with Piggy. Piggy's got her back. So this one needed a little too. And I was like, cool. I was completely fine with it. Because after all of our time that we had spent together in all these surgeries, I trusted his eye in that room. I learned my lesson. I listened to this man. And that's the kind of relationship you want. So we're now 4 chapters deep. And if you've already texted this to a friend who's been thinking about it for 2 years, do me a favor and hit subscribe. I'm here every Tuesday, and I put all of this here so women stop trying to figure out their faces and their bodies alone at midnight with 12 browser tabs open and a glass of Chardonnay. So again, hit subscribe, and I'll see you back here next Tuesday. Okay, chapter 5. And still coming up after this, we've got the truth about cup size, the recovery that people don't show you, and the breast implant illness talk. But first, the most important thing that I'm going to say to you in this whole episode. So put your phone down for 1 second, Barbara. Okay, love you. So here's what I want to say. Women can do whatever the fuck they want with their bodies. Implants, no implants, bigger, smaller, take them out or do nothing at all. It's nobody's business but yours. And I am never going to judge you for whatever you pick. But somewhere along the line, we started fighting over the dumbest thing possible, which is whether a woman is even allowed to want to change how she looks. The fuck? Wanting a different body was never the shameful part. The shame was something somebody else handed to me, to you, for free, and we carried it for years, or at least I did, like it meant something. So here's the hill I'm actually going to die on. You were born worthy. Nothing on a surgeon's table makes you more worthy, and nothing makes you less. The implants didn't make me enough. I was always enough. Flat as a board, president of the itty bitty titty committee. It was never about the size. It was about the freedom. It was about refusing to give one single solitary fuck what anybody thinks about what you do with the only body you're ever going to get. All right, chapter 6, the truth about cup size. And still coming up, we've got the Recovery Nobody Films and the breast implant illness talk, and then where I actually ended up after all of this. Okay, so cup size. Cup size depends on your frame, not just the implant. Now, I'm petite, little small mouse structure from my bones. So the number of cc's that give me a full done look would barely show up on a woman with a bigger frame and more of her own tissues. It's the same implant, but a different body, so you get a totally different result. A C cup, and mine's not, mine's double D just for the record, but a C cup on a petite frame like mine and a C cup on 6'2" Brenda from spin class are two completely different orders, and there is no sending that shit back. So talk in cc's, not cup size. That's the real measurement. Also, bring photos and try the sizers on your own body before you let anybody pick up a scalpel. And here's the part that's bigger than boobs. I said this earlier, but I really want to double down on it. There is no one size fits all. Not with implants, not with hormones, not with peptides, lasers, literally nothing. What's right for my body could be all wrong for yours. So if anybody promises you the one magic answer that works for every single woman, smile, nod, and then fucking leave. All right, chapter 7, this is a quick one. And then still coming up, I've got the recovery they don't tell you about and the breast implant illness talk. So chapter 7, the time that my gut saved my ass and maybe my life. I know, shit just got dramatic. Stay with me. So this actually happened. After one of my capsular contractures, that word, my surgeon offered me a different kind of implant. He had offered me the piggy. We all know how that turned out. And he had offered me a different kind of implant. It was a textured one on the outside, and the inside was kind of like a little gummy bear. And the texture was supposed to help stop the exact capsular contracture that I kept getting. And he was super clear with me. He said, you can get these, but it comes with a teeny tiny chance of a rare cancer. Hearing that, I was like, immediately, no. I like my titties, but I'm not trying to die for these bitches. No. Now, it's hard to explain, but when you just feel it, like you feel like it was an immediate fuck that shit, that's what this was. So I passed. I said, no, thank you. I don't want that. And I did my surgery in January. Well, that same year, in July, 6 months later, those exact textured implants got recalled. You see, the cases of that rare lymphoma had just been piling up, and the data had gotten bad enough, and the FDA pulled them off the market. So you can't even get those anymore. So my doctor flagged the risk, another reason to pick a great doctor. My gut said no, and 6 months later, the FDA said the exact same thing. It's crazy, right? That's the one time that being stubborn as a motherfucker and trusting my instinct actually saved my ass and possibly my life. All right, chapter 8. And after this, we'll talk about breast implant illness and then where I landed after everything was said and done. But first, the part that nobody puts in the highlight reel, the recovery. So the recovery for me, I'm going to tell you the truth, was so much harder than I thought it would be. So much harder. I thought I'm going to breeze through this shit. I got this. I did not have this. And mine were under the muscle, remember? So the glossy before and afters skip this whole part. So let me just bring you into the room. So you wake up, right? And you have this tight bra on. You're freezing, a little bit nauseous, in a place that smells like antiseptic and alcohol. My chest felt like there was an angry giant sitting on it. And the first week after coming home, I was flat on my back on a mountain of pillows, kind of like a glamorous Victorian invalid. I couldn't lift anything, and I was pretty much useless. I couldn't even pull my own pants up and down to go pee. I know. I'll let you sit with that one, which is exactly what I had to do. Now, you will need real help the first few days, so line it up in advance, not after you're home and struggling. Now, the other thing to be aware of is my surgeon used drains. Now, not everybody does, but mine did, which means you've got these little tubes that are literally coming out of your body, swear to God, and they're tracking fluid. So you got these little tubes that come out, and you've got these little, look like hand grenades, plastic empty hand grenades. And the fluid literally drains out of your body into the mini hand grenades, and you track how much fluid is coming out. It's like the world's least sexy science fair project. Now, I get a little queasy around that stuff, so I had Zach, my husband, do that part. Because I thought, it's a small price for him to pay, because eventually he's going to benefit from this shit too, right? Ladies, am I right? And to his credit, he never complained, not one single time. Oh, and I also didn't drive for about 2 solid weeks because I was not about to sneeze and jerk the wheel and undo everything I had just gone through. So the takeaway here is plan your recovery accordingly. Booking it is the brave part, but the recovery is the part where you lay back, take the painkillers, and just let people bring you soup. So quick heads up, the full prep and recovery playbook, the supplements I started before surgery, and the exact week-by-week recovery breakdown is all written down for the women inside the Vanity Club. The link is in the description if you want to join us. Okay, chapter 9. And after this, there's just one thing left where I am right now after going under the knife 4 fucking times and whether or not I would actually do it again. But first of all, breast implant illness, or BII. Now, let me give you the fair version because you deserve that. So BII is a whole cluster of symptoms that some women get after they get implants. It's fatigue and joint pain, brain fog, anxiety, hair loss. Some people get rashes, like autoimmune type stuff. It's not yet a formal diagnosis and the cause isn't fully understood. But what we do know is that a lot of women report that those symptoms go away after they take their implants out. Now, is that a coincidence? I don't know. But here's what I do know and what actually matters. So for these women, it's real. Their bodies, their experience, their truth. And I'm not going to sit here in my good lighting and tell another woman what is or isn't happening inside of her own body. If you've got autoimmune system stuff in your history, I would definitely bring this up with your surgeon before you do anything. And take it seriously. Listen to yourself over the internet and over me. Remember, I trusted my gut when I was offered those gummy implants, and I'm really fucking happy that I did. And I would encourage every single woman to do the same. All right, chapter 10, this is the last one and the one that I most want you to hear, where I actually ended up. Because I know people say, well, what are they? Mink, mink, mink. So I have round, smooth, high-profile silicone under the muscle, with Elizabeth the Piggy holding up Mary Kate and Ashley doing just fine on her own. And I am thrilled. I really, truly am. 4 surgeries, 27 years, and I finally have a body that for me feels hot as fuck. Now, let me leave you with this. Somebody got in my comments and said, breast implants are one of the worst things you can ever do to your body. I mean, I would have thought like, I don't know, fucking heroin, but cool. Listen, there are real risks, and I would never pretend that there wasn't. BII is real for a lot of women. There's a rare lymphoma linked mostly to textured implants. Implants also aren't lifetime devices. So capsular contracture, rupture, and revision surgeries are all part of the deal. So anyone considering them should go in eyes wide open. But one of the worst things you can do to your body, I don't know. I mean, that's a stretch. It's a stretch, Linda. The majority of women with implants never have a serious complication, and millions of women live with them just fine. So it's not risk-free. No, it's not. But it's also not poison. It is an informed personal choice. And my whole thing is this: let women decide what to do with their own bodies without the shame or the judgment. And on that note, a toast. Let me get my shams here. I'd like to thank myself for saying out loud that I'd do it all over again when you're not really supposed to. For going from the itty bitty titty committee to the exact body I wanted and not giving a tiny mouse fuck what anyone thought about it. For carrying the shame for years and then having the courage to set it down. For choosing myself on that table 4 separate times when staying small, literally, would have been so much easier. For trusting my gut, even when it cost me 30 grand, and especially when it might have saved my life. To that girl on the first operating table almost 30 years ago, with big hopes and wild dreams and no clue what she was doing, but chose herself anyway. To Rain, who took the shape of my body, but gave me back the meaning of my life. And to every woman standing in a dressing room mirror right now, negotiating with herself, you don't owe anyone an explanation. So cheers to who we were, to who we are, and to the hottest fuck versions of ourselves we're becoming. For that and so much more, I'd like to thank myself. Cheers.